Potentially harmful forever chemical, PFAS, found in drinking water for 7.5 million California residents. It's not just Flint that doesn't have clean drinking water. It's also the state that also happens to be the 5th largest economy in the world. 5th largest economy in the world somehow can't have a high-speed rail from San Diego to San Francisco. Somehow can't have a single-payer healthcare system for all of its residents. Somehow can't have programs for homeless people. Can't end poverty. And can't have clean drinking water. 5th largest GDP in the world. Gee, when that happens in a country, a state that's part of a country where they happen to be the 5th largest GDP in the world, and yet they can't do any of these basic things countries with less resources take for granted, and they can't even provide clean drinking water. What do you call that? You called that a failed state. You call that blatant failure on the behest of the government. How can you? The United States is a failing experiment. We are another empire just like other similar ones that have crumbled. And it's safe to say we have reached a point of crisis. We are going to fall from grace, and we can either have that, have it be a graceful fall where we just become another country, we don't pursue endless war, or it's going to be a worse fall. It's going to be a brutal fall. And we're going to hurt the world too, because it's not just affecting us, it's affecting the rest of the world too. And the climate's at stake. But just the fact that something like this can happen proves the experiment's failing. The experiment is failing. Anyway, oh, well, our system overall is the best in the world. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because shit like this happens. No, it's not. When you have the 5th largest GDP in the world, you can't provide clean drinking water. The experiment's failed. Full stop. It has failed. It's unacceptable anywhere because this is the richest country the face of the world has ever known. But potentially harmful forever chemical, PFAS, found in the drinking water for 7.5 million California residents. Potentially harmful chemical has been found in drinking water systems that serve about 7.5 million California residents. Variants of the chemical PFAS, nicknamed the forever chemical because it does not break down once released into the environment, have been detected in water sources for 74 communities. Very low doses have been linked to an increased risk of cancer, reproductive and immune system harm, liver and thyroid disease, and other health problems. All the findings in the water sources from the California systems exceeded 1 part per trillion, which is the safe level recommended by the independent studies. All right. The utility with the highest level of PFAS were found in the southern part of Camp Pendleton, the Marine Corps base in San Diego County, where 820 ppt for severe different PFAS chemicals were measured in a single well in 2017. High amounts of PFAS were also found in the water systems in Corona, Oroville, and some Sacramento suburbs. Testing has been done every year since 2013 when the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency ordered nationwide sampling for PFAS. However, the data does not show the current level of contamination in residents' tap water, but rather the extent of contamination in drinking water sources identified since 2013. So here's a quote. Maximum detection levels reported to the California State Water Board and the EPA are a snapshot of what was in the water when it was tested, not necessarily what is coming out of taps now. So it might not be this bad coming out of your taps, but this is happening. And just a little bit of this has been known to cause cancer. Where's it happening the most? San Diego County, Corona, Oroville, and the Sacramento suburbs. Sacramento, by the way, the capital. The capital of the state. And they can't even get clean drinking water. And again, when I say this, I'm not implying it's appropriate anywhere. Of course it isn't. It's unacceptable anywhere. But I'm saying it's just so blatant when it's going on, even in prominent places, that this is just a failed system. That this is just like, it's just backwards. And there's no reason whatsoever for it. But when it comes to the environment, there is something we can do. Now, Christina shares this, and this is older news, but it's worth a refresher knowing that at the state level, there's stuff you can do. And a good example to look to is Illinois here. So check this out. A new law, now this is from August again. This is a refresher here. This isn't breaking. But a new law allows Illinois to set its own restriction on greenhouse gases. All right, so a law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker gives Illinois the ability to set its own limit on emissions of carbon and other greenhouse gases that scientists agree contribute to climate change. Now, the state had been prohibited from taking such action for the past 2 decades. A 1998 law prohibited Illinois from setting emission reduction targets beyond those established in the Kyoto Protocol. The U.S. withdrew from that treaty in 2001, but the Illinois law remained intact, leaving the state tied to goals no longer applied to the federal government. Now, by repealing the law, environmental advocates say Illinois is positioned to take action addressing climate change at a time when the Trump administration has impeded similar efforts by targeting climate protections related to coal-fired power plants. So here's what Governor Pritzker said about this when it happened. While the federal government unravels the progress made under the Obama administration, Illinois will not stand idly by. We're stepping up to protect the lives of generations to come. So the moral here, and again, this happened back in August. This is not breaking. We're revisiting this. The moral here is that at the state level, you can do things that override the failures of the federal government, even when it comes to the environment. You can have... In Austin, they're trying to just pass their own Green New Deal. In Austin, Texas, they're moving on with their own Green New Deal just in that city. You can do stuff at the neighborhood and city level all the time. It happens. You can have your own Green New Deal. It can be done. And it thumbs its nose at the federal government. Now, if every city in the country, if every state in the country, if every state did what Illinois did, we'd live in a different country. Clearly, Lucy's excited about this. Lucy, when it comes to environmental stories, Lucy gets stoked. All right. So that's an important refresher. Christina, thank you for reminding us. Sometimes it's important to revisit what states are doing to remind ourselves that there's power at that level.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and